Welcome to Shorty SuperCoach and welcome to the weekend preview. Just a couple of rounds remaining in the home and away season. And dealing with my SuperCoach side could be much easier at the moment. I've got no trades, so all I've really got to do is think about a captain. We all know who that's going to be, so I've pretty much don't have much to do. But look, some of you out there may have something to do. Teams come out, nothing too overwhelming. Of course, Gaz isn't around. Zach Merritt returns. Michael Hurley is out. Who else have we got floating around here? Let me have a look. Oh, Nick Newman, that was the one. Nick Newman and Mitch Wallace are also out. So Josh Kennedy returns. He's at quite a nice price if you need a cheap mid. Alex Witherden has returned, but he is on the extended bench. So Lockie Neal is also out. So there's a few, not your absolute popular picks, but there's definitely a few people out there who will have copped a couple of guys in their midfield and could be feeling some pain. So probably look, if you got Neil or someone like that, unless you can cover him, and even if you can, that's why we keep these trades to this stage of the season. There's no point waiting a week when there's only 2 weeks left. You may as well trade him. So he's still priced really nicely though. I mean, he's a guy that you shouldn't really be scratching your head too much over who you should be getting in. I mean, he's priced at $5.40 odd. Priced real nicely, so should have plenty of options. But look, if you've got 1 or 2 trades left and a premium's out, this is when we do trade premiums, because there's no point hanging around keeping on your bench. They may or may not come back. We need points. We need absolute week-to-week points. You got to get them in. So I do want to talk about, because I feel the main point at this stage of the season isn't about long-term. We know that. It's about dealing with the now. So I just want to focus on Mitch Wallace and Nick Newman. More so Nick Newman, because I think a lot of people do have him. He's let us down a little bit of late, but there are a couple of options. So just bear with me and I'll just get my scroll on and move our way to the defenders. So Newman is priced reasonably well, enough to work with anyway. And at this stage of the season, you're not always going to get what you would hope from a trade. You know, Newman's at $3.76. And at this stage, you don't have the luxury of downgrading then upgrading. You really might have 20k to work with, 50k. You might have 5k to work with. So I'll work my way up. Going down, I didn't really see anyone overly interesting to go at. So moving up, you've got Alex Witherden, $3.79. If he is picked, he's proved that he can be a pretty reliable scorer, but it's very early in his career. And again, there's really no one that I'm going to say with absolute confidence, because it's all dependent on what you've actually got in your bank. Moving our way up, Heath Shaw at $3.89. Yes, he's not playing that role that we once knew him for, but he is capable of 100. He's probably the most capable guy around this price. I know he hasn't done as much, but I think if you get Shaw in, you can feel pretty comfortable he's going to dish you around an 80 or a 90. At least looking at the percentages of these guys, he's probably the highest percent to do something reasonable, given his background, given his ability. Nick Vlaston's averaged 89 the last 5 weeks. He's at $3.91. And as we start to move our way up a little bit more, I mean, Jake Lloyd at $403. He's surely got to be the pick. I think he's a guy that a lot of people would already have, but surely he's the man we look at. You're going to have to fork out a little bit more than Newman. Hopefully you do have that in the bank. But again, it'll be horses for courses. And moving up a little bit more, if you do have a spare 60-odd thousand, then I think you can look at a Cade Simpson or a Zach Tui or even a Luke Hodge, who has showed that he can produce some good scores. Now, those names aren't really going to set the world on fire and fill you with great confidence. I think Jake Lloyd should. I think you should have reasonable faith in him. He's been a little bit off of late, but I think we can trust him. But look, unless you've got stacks of cash in the bank, you're just going to have to deal with a guy like that who maybe isn't your absolute premium or straight swap that you would have loved, but unfortunately we don't have that luxury. So just going to have to work with what we can there. And just for hypothetical sake, I mean, Mitch Wallace, not too many would have him. I don't think he's super popular, but just to look at, you know, a few forwards around that mark. Elliot Yeo at $4.62, I think he is. He's reasonably well priced. You might be able to, if you're looking for a cheap forward, you might want to look at him. Shawnee Higgins as well. But I think Lance Franklin's the one, $4.41. Caught fire last week with a $1.64. He's definitely a guy that I think at this stage of the season, you can hopefully almost straight swap him that's probably one you'd be looking at there. And again, while I'm at it, I may as well look for some affordable midfielders, because you may be facing that trouble in your midfield as well, like some certainly will with Lachie Neale. So I think with Lachie Neale, he's at 542. You shouldn't have too many troubles, really. I mean, you should be able to afford plenty of guys. I mean, the likes of Luke Parker and Mark Murphy are below him, and Dane Beams, who's on fire, is below him, Zach Merritt. So it shouldn't be an issue. But even someone like Bontempelli at 544, I think he's a really good get, and you might even be able to reach your way up to Josh Kelly as well, who is in some good form. But look, Steve Cornelio, I think he's a pretty good get at 511. Even someone like Steele Sidebottom, you might have a sneaky look at. But I think really we should be pretty comfortable if we're looking to trade Neale. But anyway, I just thought I'd run through maybe a few guys to think about with a few of the potential outs from a few clubs and a few coaches out there might be having some trouble. So hopefully that's been of help at this stage of the season. Understandably, the SuperCoach interest has dropped off a little bit, so hopefully you enjoyed my video at the press conference during the week, something a bit different. We are definitely winding up. All the best if you're in some finals. Hopefully you can get a win there, and hopefully you haven't been hit too hard by a few injuries. Again, at this stage of the season, most people have no trades, 1, 2, maybe 3 if you've been really saving them. But I think at this stage, in the last few weeks we've had, most people would have got rid of them. So subscribe to the channel, comment away, give the video a like. I'll be back for my press conference. All the best for your finals this week, and I'll chat to you soon.